Hello guys, hope you're doing well. So again, we're here with our video session where we're literally going to answer all the questions that I'm receiving. As I told you, there are a lot of people that are texting me, messaging me in different social media like Instagram. They send me direct messages, they leave comments, and most of them, they send me WhatsApp messages, yeah? So some of these people, they're my RERA students. Some of them, they're the owners of a different real estate companies. Some of them like buyers, some of them sellers. Some of them unfortunately got some problems and issues, yeah? So I decided that seeing that a lot of cases are repeating, for example, like one person has it and you won't believe, like literally in 1 week, I can have like few people having exactly the same issue. So then I decided to come up with this format where I'm gonna just like read every single question and then develop the subject and answer to every single question so other people can benefit from it. Yeah, so I hope you're gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna read every question the way I receive it and sometimes play even audio messages, and then I'm gonna comment developing the subject. I hope you're gonna like it and I hope you're gonna enjoy it. So meantime, please hit subscribe button and put a like on this video so you can help other people to benefit from my answers to these questions. Yeah, so now I'm reading my first message I received. So it says, "Dear coach," so apparently this was sent by one of my students of the RERA course. "Dear coach, we're just 4 days away from finalizing a transaction. The seller has submitted all the required documents except for the eviction notice. However, the seller has only recently issued the eviction notice to the tenant, with a vacating date set on April 2026. This is completely different from what the seller initially stated when I brought the buyers. She told us at the beginning that she had already issued the eviction notice, which turns out to be untrue. The buyers purchased this property, means signed contract F, with the intention of using it for a personal use, not for rental income. Given the property will remain occupied for another year, they no longer wish to proceed and are now requesting to cancel the contract. In your opinion, who is at fault in this case, based on Dubai real estate laws?" Now, so that's literally a question I received. That's a really huge message. So here is the case that we're having. So there is an agent who is, or there are buyers who are purchasing the property. They were dealing with the agent technically representing the buyer and the seller in this case. So the buyers are purchasing the villa because they want to use it for their personal use. They don't want any rental income. So they want to purchase it, and ideally they want to move in as soon as possible. So the agent did his job. He went to a seller, talked to a seller, and seller told the agent and the buyers that there is an eviction notice sent to the tenant to vacate the premises. However, after signing the contract F, they found out that there is no eviction notice was sent by the seller to the tenant. So this technically means that the buyer, if buyer wants to occupy the property, will have to serve eviction notice and then wait for 1 year. Now, apparently after signing contract F, the seller sent eviction notice to the tenant, and only then buyers found it out. And here's the question, in your opinion, who is at fault in this case based on Dubai real estate law? Now, I would say everybody. So in the sense that, first of all, the seller, like, it is completely unethical to claim that the eviction notice was sent while it was not sent, considering the fact that after serving the eviction notice, there's 1 year waiting time for the tenant to move out from the premises. So definitely it's fault of the seller. That's kind of unethical game from the side of the seller just to quickly get the contract signed. This is first. Secondly, it is also a fault of the real estate agent, because if the seller is claiming that the eviction notice was sent and then he is translating this to the buyers, it should be backed up with some sorts of documents. Simply the copy of the eviction notice. It is a must. Now, so here it's the fault of the agent as well. Because simply he failed to do a certain due diligence and request a seller to share the document. There can be a case where the seller simply didn't want to go deep or to annoy the seller by requesting a lot of documents. Unfortunately, when agents are scared to do a due diligence or request the necessary documents, in many cases, it leads to this outcome, unfortunately. So, moving on, and it's also a buyer's fault. Yeah, you might object, like, Ahmed, what buyer has to do with that? He was told by the agent. Now, being a buyer, you still need to be considering certain different outcomes. And if you as a buyer, it's very important for the property to be vacant at the time of a purchase or eviction notice to be served already, and the tenant to vacate, let's say like not April, but let's say November, means earlier, yeah. So in this case, you need to put a clause stating that in case if there is no eviction notice served by the seller to the tenant at the time of signing contract F, the buyer has a right to cancel current contract F without any legal consequences, legal and financial consequences. If you don't get any confirmation of the words that agent is saying, it's better for a buyer pre-consider it and put it in a contract F. So this is literally everybody's fault. Now, moving on. This is the same message, yeah? Logically, it appears to be the seller's fault for failing to disclose the truth. You're right, but did the agent request the truth? Apparently no. And for not, so it's the seller's fault and for not providing the required documentation on time. So then you as a buyer shouldn't have signed it, should not have signed the contract F if there is no confirmation of eviction notice, considering that it's very, very important for you. And then moving on. However, from a legal perspective in Dubai, can the contract F be cancelled at the buyer's request under these circumstances? Now let's imagine. So here we have got a case, and then buyer found out everything, and he's like, oh, then I don't want to purchase it, I want to cancel. The first question, like one of the questions is, can the buyer cancel it? No, because this was not considered in contract F. If you would have added as the buyer or as an agent a clause stating that in case if there is at the time of signing contract F, there is no eviction notice served to the tenant, so and so date, or where the tenant obliged to move out by so and so month. For example, if this was not mentioned, then unfortunately the buyer cannot move out. Cannot quit current contract F. Yeah, so cannot. The answer is no, buyer cannot quit or cancel the contract F. Contract F, when I say contract F, I refer to sales and purchase agreement. Now moving on to the follow-up question. Or must the buyer wait for the contract to expire in order to file a complaint? Now here's the thing. If the buyer waits for the contract to expire, the buyer will be defaulter of current agreement and will be liable to pay 10% to the seller. Now, when I say liable to pay 10%, it doesn't work in a way that, for example, like it's not going to happen in a way like, let's say contract expired and the buyer want to go and file a complaint, and then the agent is like, sorry, Mr. Buyer, you defaulted because contract expired, you didn't purchase the property, I'm going to hand over the check to the seller, yeah? So to simply hand over a check to the seller, the agent is not permitted, not allowed to just like take the check and give it to the seller, yeah? So there is a procedure. I think I answered in a previous video where, so simply to hand over the check, there should be two documents in hands. Document number one, it should be written confirmation and acknowledgement from the buyer that he has no further claims and objections for his agent to hand over the check to the seller. Now, if you as a buyer, you did not give this to your agent, then simply the agent can only hand over your check as a buyer in case if the seller has the decision from the court saying that he won the case. So if seller shows this to your agent as you as a buyer, then the agent will be obliged to hand over the check. Now, and then he have got another question in the same message. What is the proper process to file a complaint? Should they appoint a lawyer? And if so, what steps must they take? I would greatly appreciate your insight on this matter. All right, that's a really great question. That's properly structured. He just literally wrote down everything. So a big credit to the sender of this question. But wonderful. I love to read these kind of questions because first of all, it's absolutely clear. He outlines the problems. He literally outlined the chronology of all the steps, all the facts, and then he's just like boom, 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 asking questions. Yeah, I love to answer these questions. Sometimes it's difficult to answer a question with just like one sentence, especially if there are a lot of like grammar or some mistakes. Yeah, so then it's really hard to understand what the person is really asking and referring to. So coming back to the question, what is the proper process to file a complaint? If the buyer wants to file a complaint, he can do it in Dubai Land Department. If it's just a complaint, yeah. So this simply can be done online, or the buyer can go to Dubai Land Department building, 2nd floor, RERA, and try to seek help there. This is about filing a complaint. Filing a case is a complete different matter. So then it's going to be a civil case where he's asking, should they appoint a lawyer? Now, if in the context of this question, if under complaint you mean to file a case or ask some sort of compensation or cancel a contract, that's not a complaint, that's a court case. Yeah, that's a court case, and then definitely, yeah, the lawyers should be presenting the buyer in this case. Yeah, so the lawyer must be presenting the buyer in this case, and it's going to be a civil case. For me, if you ask my opinion, that's just like a waste of time and money. Because you as a buyer, you'll have to pay your lawyers, you'll have to pay the court fees, charges, and it's gonna take some time. It might take up to 1 year time, yeah? So it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, and parallelly, some buyers, they think, oh, if I file a case, then the property will be blocked in the system. It won't be blocked in the system, yeah? Immediately when you file a civil case, it doesn't get blocked. Yeah, so for this like 1 year or 2 years, whatever your case duration, the property does not get blocked immediately, yeah? Now, and we're going to second question, and it's from the same person. It's from the same person. If I manage to convince the buyers to proceed with the purchase under the current conditions, they are willing to go ahead only if they can increase the rental price to match the current market index, which is around 120,000 dirhams per annum yearly. Once they become the new owners, will they be legally allowed to increase the rent immediately based on the current RERA rental index? Now, so we have the same case study. So the agent apparently is trying to convince the buyer to proceed with the purchase of the property, and he's asking the buyers hypothetically would only agree if from the moment they become the property owners, if they can increase the rent to match the current RERA rental index. Can they do that? Now, here's the thing. They cannot. The answer is no. Now, for example, like let's say, contract starts January, it ends, for example, let's say it starts 1st of January, it ends 31st of December, and the person became the owner, let's say in August. So the buyer became the owner of this property and he's like suddenly wants to increase the rental price. Can he do it? No, he cannot do it. Now, the process to follow is he will have to give the tenant 90 days notice of rental increase only in case if RERA rental index allows current owner to increase the rent. However, it won't be matching the current market price. You know, the RERA index is another huge subject. We'll try to we will try to speak about the subject, make a separate big video about it. So simply, it can be 5%, 10%, 15, 20, depending on the RERA index. Once you do your checks on Dubai Land Department website, in the section of RERA rental index, if it tells you you can increase 5% or 10%, and considering the fact you as a new owner, you send to your tenant 90 days notice saying, hey tenant, just to let you know, I'm the new owner and the rent will be renewed, increased by plus 5%, plus 10%. In this case, yes, it can be increased at the renewal. Let's say the eviction notice was sent in August. Then you're going to renew your contract from 1st of Jan till August. So it will be 8-month contract with increased rent calculated pro rata per day. Yeah, to serve your new extension of your tenancy contract from 1st of Jan till August. So that's it for today, guys. That was a really great question, a very long case, and it has like sub cases. So the buyer was expecting the property to be vacant, and apparently he found out that it's not going to be vacant, and he wants to increase the rent, and he found out that he cannot increase the rent. Yeah. So I hope it was helpful for you. I hope you liked it very much. So please click subscribe, put a like, so you encourage us to do more of these content, useful content for the buyers, for the sellers, for the agents. So your contribution really important for us. Thank you so much. I wish you a great day. See you next week. Bye bye.